Hello everyone, my name is Jacek Kalina. I'm working at Silesian University of Technology at Gliwice, Poland. Uh, I'll be speaking about planning energy transition and decarbonization of Opole district heating system. The work has been performed as a part of the SET-HEAT project co-founded by the European Union under LIFE Clean Energy Transition sub-program. In this presentation, I will briefly present the exercise, boundary conditions, reference scenario. Then I will be speaking about heat mapping, equipment performance, a reconfiguration scenario, and then I'll show you results and conclusions. The exercise is to develop a draft vision for the retrofitting of existing second generation district heating system to satisfy the definition of efficient district heating system provided by the revised Energy Efficiency Directive. We target years 2028 and 2035. The definition shows different alternatives. In 2028, we need waste heat and we need renewable energy sources in the system. So at least 5% of heat should be from renewable energy sources and 45 can be from highly efficient cogeneration and waste heat. Different values are for different years, and finally we aim towards efficient systems that use only renewable energy or only waste heat or a mixture of renewable energy and waste heat. The district heating system in Opole is typical second generation fossil fuel fired district heating system with central heating plant and second generation high temperature district heating network. We have different heat production units, coal boilers, then we have gas boilers, then we have gas turbine unit, natural gas fired, then we have steam turbine unit, coal fired, then we have since 2023 gas fired cogeneration unit and also small solar plant of 200 kilowatts. The data shows that currently the system produces 1.5 million gigajoules of heat at different temperatures. So we have hourly data for forward temperature, for return temperature, and also for the power, heating power output. To make the plan, we collected weather data for Opole, data from the system. Then we built some models for future energy market, like anticipated fuel energy and CO2 prices. We identified available heat sources. Then we predicted performance of production units. We selected sizes of potential units. We assessed investment costs. We ran system simulations, and then we examined the financial effects. Electricity market model that we have built shows electricity prices with hourly resolution up to 2050. It is based on data from 2023. So you see hourly prices of electricity that year in Polish energy market. We identified a correlation between market price of electricity and renewable energy generation in the system and demand for power in the system. So this correlation was used to predict future prices, taking into account different scenarios for market development. So we see different values of renewable energy, installed generation in different years up to 2050. We generated several scenarios, but in this work we will present only two. Examples of results are presented in this and following slides. So this is, for example, demand for power and renewable energy generation in the system in 2030. This is in 2050, where we observe in many hours significant overproduction by PV and wind plants. This is market price in 2030. We observe in many hours negative prices. This is a market price model in 2050. So in many much more hours we have negative prices, and there is significant difference between maximum and minimum price. However, when we took into account potential developments in the market, and when we studied information presented by different organizations, we developed two different types of models. In one, electricity prices decrease, so this is, let's say, positive scenario, but in other one we have increase of electricity prices. So in case we don't build enough renewable energy generation capacity in the system, and in the same time we go for electrification, the electricity prices will increase. We took different scenarios of CO2 and fuel prices from World Energy Outlook presented by International Energy Agency. So we have CO2 prices that are supposed to increase considerably by 2050. Then coal prices, which are supposed to drop, and gas prices, which are also supposed to. We took into consideration, firstly, the variable part of cost, of heat production cost, with different components such as fuel, energy, operation maintenance, environmental costs, etc. This is electricity from cogeneration. So generated electricity in cogeneration is deducted from the costs. The optimum is to make this variable part minimum. So according to this condition, we develop production program. And balancing issues, operation window of equipment with minimum loads, maximum loads, efficiencies, and etc. etc. So this model was used to develop such type of scenarios. So this is operation program for 2028 in the reference scenario, which is called no action scenario. So only existing stock is generating heat. Cogeneration appeared to be important as a baseload unit in this year, but further in time its importance decreases. We see prices in 2028, so there is a significant number of hours with negative heat prices. This is 2040, so as you see, cogeneration is less important in summer. Gas boilers are more competitive, but cogeneration still, gas engine cogeneration still runs in winter as baseload unit. We also have gas turbine here. We have steam turbine unit, and coal boilers are used as peak boilers. and prices for 2040 with considerably higher number of negative values. So these are conclusions which are already described. In the new model, we want to decarbonize the system. So we identified some potential heat sources, such as sewage treatment plant, cement plant. There's possibility for solar plant, heat recovery from industrial zones, from some supermarkets, waste incineration. So there are different options to take heat to the network. We also considered spatial constraints. So is there enough space to establish new production units? We build models of equipment. So for example, in here we see solar plant model of 35 megawatt peak built at 15 hectares of available or potentially available land. This is example of air source heat pump model with hourly resolution. We analyzed production costs. So for example, in here you see comparison of heat production cost at air source heat pump with CO2 as working fluid. This is the blue line. The red line represents heat from coal-fired boilers, and the yellow is the cost of heat from gas-fired boilers. So we can see competitiveness of different production units in different years. There are several important problems related to new production units. So for example, many units cannot deliver above 90 °C. For example, heat storage, seasonal heat storage cannot deliver in winter above this temperature. We also identified that if we take into account all heat sources, we will mainly produce heat in summer, and this will require around 2.3 million cubic meters of seasonal storage, which is not physically possible. And all these units can deliver 70% of heat supplied to consumers in the system. But the management and balancing of the system is very, very complex issue. So in searching for a realistic scenario, we developed we proposed some actions. So in stage one, it's satisfactory to take heat just from waste incineration plant, and this will satisfy the demand of Energy Efficiency Directive in 2028 until 2034, with 5% of heat from renewable energy sources and some waste heat. We will be efficient district heating system. So in this, this is the production program for 2028. You see the waste incineration plant runs as a baseload unit. Then we have gas-fired cogeneration as the second unit. Then we have coal-fired CHP and other units. So significant portion of heat will come from gas-fired boilers. Coal-fired units are peak units. So in here we have coal-fired CHP, existing one, and coal-fired boilers. From 2035, the situation is quite complicated because we can not establish as much storage as we would like to have. We can consider potentially only 500,000 cubic meters in 2 different locations. We can consider heat pumps at different units. We didn't take into account solar plant because the contribution was relatively small compared to other units and compared to investment costs required for this component. We concluded that we need to find additional 16 megawatt of waste heat sources to satisfy the demand for renewable and waste heat in the system in 2035. So this is the production program from 2035. The waste incineration plant is still the baseload unit. Then we have cement plant as the next production unit. So these two are working in the bottom of the profile. Then we have gas engine. Then we have storage. So storage runs as seasonal, but also it is used for balancing in summer. So when we look at summer period, so we have just 3 production units: waste incineration plant, sewage treatment plant, which is greenfield, and cement plant. The storage makes the balance. In heating season, we have also other units. So for example, gas engines are run only in heating season, and we also need this 16 megawatt, which is the purple field here, to satisfy the requirements of the directive for 2035. So we calculated the profitability of this scenario by net present value, which is calculated as differential cash flow, so after project and before the project, and also which takes into account the capex, so investment cost required for this decarbonization program. We took different investment cost data from the literature. We also collected some information from vendors. We developed costing curves for sizing of production units. So we have for different type of equipment, we have different curves. And then we have anticipated capital expenditures. So this is solar heating, then heat pumps, this is sewage treatment, this is air source heat pump, then we have waste incineration plant, cement plant, and seasonal storage. The price is presented here for 100,000 cubic meters. When we see the contribution of different units in the production program, we conclude that still gas boilers are contributing at the highest. Then we have waste incineration plant, then we have sewage treatment plant and gas engine CHP units. Gas turbine contributes only to 9.7%, and coal boilers 3.2%. Additional heat sources that must be found: distributed heat sources from different waste heat systems, let's say, contribute at around 14%. So we see comparison of this is a variable part of heat production cost in different scenarios. So market development scenario 1 against no action scenario, so only existing units. In different years, we see that when we start decarbonization in 2028, then the variable part of heat cost will be higher than in case of doing nothing. But further in time, we see that from around 2036, the situation changes. So in this case, if we do nothing, we will pay more for heat generation regarding the cost of energy, cost of CO2 emission, and the operation and maintenance. And this difference is further, and we see that in 2050 it's quite considerable. But in scenario 2, which is the energy market with no sufficient production of renewable energy, we see that we also have in some periods higher costs in existing system. So in no action scenario, but in most cases, the decarbonized system generates heat at higher cost. The differences are very small, but nevertheless, if we invest in decarbonization under this market development model, we will not be able to recover the investment costs. So only in scenario 1 we can reach profitability, and we see how much is the capex for this and what is the value of the project over years. So in 2028 we invest only in connection of waste incineration, so the investment cost is not very high, but we buy this heat at a given price and we, let's say, don't produce electricity in cogeneration. So this means the value will drop because the costs of heat production are higher. In 2035, we invest to meet the requirements. So in 2034, in fact, we invest to meet the requirements from 2035. And then we see increase of simple value and also discounted value, but in 2050 the value is still negative, so it means we need significant co-financing or significant subsidies to make this value positive at the end. So from this chart we see that at least 50% of investment costs should be financed, and the total investment cost is around 400 million. So we have conclusions. First one is that only under positive market development scenario it is possible to develop a profitable decarbonization program. Investment costs are very high, and financial support of around 50% is required to get positive net present value at the end. In the scenario 2 of energy market development, we have negative differential cash flow that in many years that prevents us from developing a positive or profitable project. Heat balancing of multiple distributed heat sources is an issue. Most of heat sources perform considerably better in summer, which is a significant issue that leads to overproduction of heat in summer and let's say loss of capacity in winter. Capturing heat produced in summers required a lot of storage capacities, which can be very difficult to physically establish. Flexible heat sources must be found to deliver heat in time when it is actually required by consumers, but connection or integration of such flexible sources requires business models. So business models must be developed to ensure payback periods for such, let's say, mostly waste heat recovery projects, and to make return on investment for potential external partners. So for sure, complexity of future systems will increase. And the system, if in Opole, we also need to apply different actions or different measures to support investment program. So we need to improve energy efficiency in consumption to reduce heat demand. Then we need to find space for integration of decentralized heating units. Then we need to accept the territorial expansion of the system and management of its operation, etc., etc. So there are many issues that must be satisfied to make this decarbonization program work. This was the last conclusions. In this slide, you see contact information, so please feel free to contact us if you have questions. I encourage you to register at our SetHeat project webpage, so you can follow us and see our work on decarbonization of different heating systems in 4 countries like Poland, Lithuania, Romania, and Croatia. Thank you.